Maulana Faisal al-Hassan Hazrat Mohani was a towering freedom fighter, a sincere politician, a candid and fearless journalist, a prominent poet, and a critic of Eastern thought, a man of many facets. His political contributions and bravery in India's struggle for freedom were acknowledged by great personalities like Shibli Nomani, Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Maulana Muhammad Ali Jauhar, and Dr. Zakir Hussain. As Shibli Nomani said, "You are a man or a jinn. First, you were a poet, then you became a politician, and now you've turned into a Baniyat businessman." From the first decade of the 20th century, Hazrat Mohani began demanding India's complete independence through his speeches and writings, and he continued to raise this slogan with unwavering determination till his last breath. After the failed First War of Independence in 1857, Hazrat Mohani was the second Indian, and the first Muslim, after Bal Gangadhar Tilak, to be imprisoned by the British due to his political activities. Hazrat Mohani had demanded complete independence for India during the 1921 Congress session. Dr. Rajendra Prasad wrote about this event. The Congress session in Ahmedabad was held with great grandeur. Deshbandhu Dasgupta was elected as president, but as he was in jail, Hakim Ajmal Khan carried out the presidential duties. In Ahmedabad, for the first time, a major proposal came forward that sparked significant debate. It was put forth by Maulana Hazrat Mohani, who emphasized that India's independence from British imperialism should become the Congress's primary goal. Mahatma Gandhi strongly opposed this proposal, and due to his opposition, it was rejected. Maulana Hazrat Mohani struggled for India's independence throughout his life and endured countless hardships to achieve this goal. He was a founding member of several political and religious organizations, including Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind, Anjuman-e-Kaaba, Anjuman Qadam al-Haramain, the Khilafat Conference, and the Azad Party. Simultaneously, he remained an active member of the Muslim League, the Indian National Congress, and the Communist Party. Everywhere he went, he called for Hindu-Muslim unity and India's complete independence. Hazrat Mohani's most notable contribution to the history of the freedom struggle will forever be remembered. He relentlessly tried to push the major political organizations of his time toward the ultimate goal of achieving complete independence through all reasonable and justified means. Maulana Hazrat Mohani was also the first journalist in Urdu who fearlessly wielded his pen like a sword against British rule, undeterred by any threats or consequences. As Dr. Zakir Hussain remarked, "People can go to any extent to satisfy the demands of the desires." Hazrat, however, gave everything for the demands of his conscience. He endured a lifetime of hardships, but no hardship could suppress the voice of his conscience. Every difficulty only added to his greatness. The events and experiences at MAO College Aligarh played a significant role in shaping and completing the personality and character of Hazrat Mohani. It was during his stay in Aligarh that his political activities began, which initially manifested as a rebellion against the British. Hazrat Mohani did not even sit for his BA exams before he started participating in national politics, defying Aligarh's prevailing policies. Hazrat Mohani was both a product of the Aligarh movement and a rebel against it. The qualities of truthfulness, boldness, and fearlessness that defined his personality first emerged during this period. Hazrat Mohani's literary taste was refined and polished, and his passion for serving the country and its people was pure and unshakable. This is why he used journalism as a means to reform the outlook of Muslims of that era and instill in them a sense of independence and freedom. To express his views, Hazrat Mohani launched the magazine, Urdu-e-Mualla. From its very early editions, he began publishing articles that aimed to highlight the role of Muslims in national politics and support the national movements. Through this magazine, he awakened the political consciousness of Muslims and encouraged them to join the Congress. Professor Ahmad Sarwar, highlighting the significance of Urdu-e-Mualla, writes, "In the history of Urdu literature, the names of magazines like Dilgadaz, Makhzan, Urdu-e-Mualla, and Urdu-e-Mumtaz are especially noteworthy. Among these, Urdu-e-Mualla holds a leading position in many respects." Hazrat Mohani launched this magazine just after completing his BA exams, even before the results were declared. The magazine's primary goal was described as the refinement of taste. However, it was not merely a literary magazine. From the very beginning, it included commentary on national and international politics and contemporary events. Although renowned writers and poets contributed articles, poems, and ghazals, the true brilliance of the magazine was due to Hazrat's labor and sacrifice. Urdu-e-Mualla was the first magazine of its time whose editor was a staunch Congress supporter, and he passionately supported the Congress in every piece of his writing and criticism. In 1904, the Congress held its 20th session, where Hazrat Mohani participated as a delegate. After attending the All India Industrial Conference in Bombay in 1905, he became an advocate of the Swadeshi movement. Hazrat Mohani's views on the Swadeshi movement were more pragmatic compared to other Congress leaders. In his opinion, the needs of the entire Indian population could not be met by spinning wheels alone. He believed that the clothes produced in Indian mills should also be considered Swadeshi. Regarding the boycott of foreign goods, his article Swadeshi Tarikaya Boycott was published in Urdu-e-Mualla. In it, Hazrat Mohani presented a vision of defensive resistance in the following words. The ruled can secure their rights from the rulers in three ways: first, by begging humbly, stretching out their hands like mendicants, which has already proven to be futile; second, by bloodshed and rebellion, overpowering and subduing the rulers, which seems impossible in the current circumstances. Therefore, for us, there is no option left but to avoid the humiliation of begging and the trials of war, and instead follow a path of defensive resistance that can never be harmful but is bound to be beneficial. This is the very basis on which the policy of resistance clearly takes precedence over the policy of supplication. The fiery writings published in Urdu-e-Mualla ignited the spirit of freedom in the hearts of Indian Muslims, a fact that was deeply disliked by the British government. Hazrat Mohani's passion for liberty and his political activities pricked the British rulers like a thorn. In 1908, the British government sentenced Hazrat Mohani to 2 years of rigorous imprisonment and imposed a fine of 500 rupees for sedition. Upon paying the fine, his sentence was reduced by 1 year. When Hazrat Mohani was released from jail in 1909, the first issue of the second phase of Urdu-e-Mualla was published that same year. However, no press was willing to publish such a dangerous political magazine. Therefore, Hazrat Mohani set up his own press to continue publishing it. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad recounts this story in the following words. When Hazrat Mohani was released from prison, there was nothing left in this world that could be a source of financial support for him. He lived in a small hut with a rent of 2.5 rupees per month. Inside, there was a tiny room and a small space outside. Inside that humble dwelling lived a freedom-loving ascetic, with the unshakable strength of a mountain, alongside his wife. Outside stood a hand-operated wooden press and 2 or 3 printing stones. Many times, it so happened that he wrote the copies of Urdu-e-Mualla with his own hands, prepared the lithograph stones, and ran the press himself to print them. This was the entire world of the Urdu press and its owner. There was no other source of income, and his proud nature would never allow him to bear anyone's favor. Hazrat Mohani never compromised in speaking the truth. From the very beginning, he was a supporter of Hindu-Muslim unity and desired to bring the Congress and the Muslim League closer, advocating for reconciliation and understanding between them. It was through his efforts that, in 1916, the Congress and the Muslim League held a joint session. Maulana Muhammad Ali Jauhar acknowledged this achievement with these words. Through the unparalleled courage and unyielding strength of the fearless, patriotic Muslim warrior, Maulana Hazrat Mohani, reconciliation was finally achieved, the fruit of which was reaped the following year at the historic Lucknow Pact. After returning from England, Hazrat Mohani began regularly attending the annual sessions and councils of the Muslim League. Even there, he remained steadfast in his truthfulness and fearlessness. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the head of the Muslim League, entered politics much later than Hazrat Mohani and, as the leader, could not tolerate dissent. However, Hazrat Mohani's temperament was such that he would never hesitate to speak the truth, regardless of the consequences. Hazrat Mohani was a champion of democracy and a staunch opponent of partition. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, under the two-nation theory, wanted a separate country and an independent Pakistani government. Hazrat Mohani feared that Jinnah might settle for a colonial status instead of complete independence for India. To counter this, Hazrat Mohani presented his proposal for Hindu-Muslim unity at the annual Muslim League session. Despite the uproar and opposition of 50,000 attendees, Hazrat Mohani refused to leave the microphone until he had fully explained his position. At a time when Hazrat Mohani was raising his voice for Hindu-Muslim unity in the Muslim League, leaders like Gandhi and Rajagopalachari were voicing similar sentiments in Congress sessions. In short, all these leaders were opposed to the partition of India. Sardar Jafri writes, "The passion for freedom in Hazrat's heart had set a single path for his life. He could have easily pursued government service or entered the field of education, but he chose a political life instead. He began participating in Congress sessions, but his rebellious nature was incompatible with Congress's soft policies, so he became a follower of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. From 1940 to 1946, Hazrat Mohani continued to propagate his ideology, but by then, neither his allies remained in the Muslim League, nor did Congress agree with his views. During this period, he delivered speeches at numerous gatherings, striving tirelessly not only for complete independence but also to save the country from the tragedy of partition. However, despite his relentless efforts, the Muslim League, under the two-nation theory, created circumstances that made the partition of the country inevitable and unavoidable. Along with complete independence, Pakistan emerged as a separate nation. After the partition of India, nearly all the leaders of the Muslim League migrated to Pakistan. But Hazrat Mohani's patriotism and his proud nature could not even entertain the idea of leaving his homeland. He remained in Kanpur, deeply grieved by the partition and its consequences. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad expressed this sentiment poignantly. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, Hazrat was granted the honor of perfectly embodying the spirit of Prophet Yusuf's patience and resilience. In this excellence, there is no equal or rival to Hazrat. What Hazrat is doing today, India will only come to understand 50 years later. That was the story of Maulana Hazrat Mohani, a fearless freedom fighter and a true patriot whose name will always be written in golden letters in history. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and stay connected with us. Support us for more engaging and informative content. Thank you.